Welcome back to another one, my friends. We have a Z image workflow, and this is the base Z image, not turbo. This is just Z image, the full Monty or whatever you want to call it. There's kind of a lot to go over with this, so I'm just going to be quick as possible with getting started here. So right off the bat, let's go to check out the GitHub. There are currently 4 variants. The turbo we've already played with. We have workflows for. This is the new one. There's the base model and apparently an edit model. Okay, that one's not released yet, and neither is the base. So we just have these two. I'm really curious about the edit model in the future, so we'll see what that's like. And the first thing that caught my eye on this chart comparing the two is that the visual quality on this one is said to be high, but Z image turbo is very high. So I found that interesting. I'm like, okay, this is the bigger one. Why is it not as good? But I'll get into that. The diversity in this model is definitely better. You don't get the same person in the same pose all the time anymore, which is nice. The CFG is higher for this. They say you can set it between 4 and 7. I've had most luck setting it around 4. The higher you go with the CFG, the more saturation and contrast you seem to get, which I'll show you. So getting started on the left here with the model downloads. All the models that you need are here. Click this, it will bring you to a link where you can download each model, and it tells you right underneath, put in which folder it needs to go in. So that's all right there. I will add that Bong Tangent is very good with this, but to install it, you're going to want to search for this in custom nodes. So you go here and you want this one. So just make sure you install that, and then you'll have access to Bong Tangent. And with any workflow, if you load this up and you're missing nodes, go to the manager, go to install missing custom nodes, click here. The ones that you're missing should show up here. Click install, then click restart. It should appear down here, or you can restart ComfyUI here. Once it reloads up, you should be good. Okay, all that's out of the way. Let's get started on what I've noticed with this. So I'll address what I just spoke about with the CFG being high. So here's a result of me setting the CFG to 7. Now, it comes out really saturated and high contrast, and to me, it just looks bad. Like, it's not an image you really want to work with. So setting it right to 7 isn't really my suggestion. I've had most luck around 4, like this is a CFG of 4. This is also completely different settings to what I used here, but you just don't get that oversaturation and contrast when you use a CFG of 4. So I recommend that. Right here, this was also a CFG of 7, but I tried a different sampler and it did come out better, but still, I don't like that oversaturated look. If you like it, then you know what to do. Raise the CFG. But all these images I generated were generated at 2048 by 2048 because I wanted to see how it handled higher resolutions, and it seems to do so really well. And like I said earlier, this is really good at diversity. Like if you look, it's not giving me the same chick every time. It is looking really similar, I will say. Like this woman looks strikingly similar to this woman and this woman. Like they all do look pretty close. Even like her eyes look the same. She's completely different, but I really cranked with the settings to make that one. So this is basically a workflow that I used for Z image turbo. I just slightly altered it so that it would work for the new model, the just regular Z image BF16. Now I'm using the full BF16 model, and you can get that right here. If you have less VRAM, I'm using a 4090 with 24 gigabytes VRAM. If you're using something with less VRAM, you're going to want one of these GGUF models, and there's a bunch to choose from. Like if you have a 16 gigabyte card, you could probably get away with one of these ones down here. But if you have like a 12 gigabyte card or less, then you might want to have to settle for a lesser model. Ignore the fact that I have Z image turbo here. It's just because I haven't downloaded any of the GGUF models because I don't need to. So it's not like this is the same as this. This is the previous model. But all you're going to want to do if you're using a GGUF model is choose it here, connect the model to here, and then you're good. The next thing I'll say is LoRa's used in Z-Image Turbo do not work with this new model. So you will have to find all new LoRa's for this new model, and that kind of sucks, but whatever. It is what it is. Next, this model uses 30 to, well, I think it says like 28, but 30 to 50 steps. I've tried 30, I've tried 40, I've tried 50. I don't see a big difference, so I just stick it with 30. The difference between using 30 steps and 50 steps is almost indistinguishable, so like why would you use more when it's not really giving you much more benefit? I know there's probably going to be people that argue that, oh no, it's much better like in certain use cases, but from what I've seen and from my testing, I haven't noticed a big difference. Like I said, CFGF4 seems to give you nice pictures. It just looks more stable overall. And now I have created some sheets of testing between different samplers and schedulers. So we're going to look at that now. So here is the comparisons that I did showing the different samplers and schedulers. One thing I noticed right off the bat is Euler Ancestral or Euler. How do you guys say that? Euler? I don't fucking know. Ancestral is really soft. So if you like the soft, photoshopped looking skin, yeah, this is perfect for you. But I like realism. This looks incredibly fake to me. I really don't like the look of Euler Ancestral with this model. It's just, it takes away all the fine detailing of the skin. That's the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed is that you tend to get more realism in skin when you use DP, MPP, SDE. You get freckling, like let's zoom in even more. You get freckling, you can notice more skin bumps and imperfections, just subtle imperfections. This one went a little hard with the freckling. There are almost black dots on here for some reason, and you sometimes get that. But all of these ones using this sampler, I really liked the look of the skin and just how it looked more natural. All across the middle is the Euler ones using different schedulers. And these ones look nice. It's a nice kind of middle ground between Ancestral and the DP or DP-MPP. But still, they always seem to look like professionally shot photos, which I'm not always a big fan of. I prefer more of the amateur or like realistic, like I said, looking. So anyway, you can look at that. That's basically some of the tests I did. I have one more using all the same samplers and schedulers. And with this one, it really showed some of the limitations of this model. The faces, when they get smaller, these are all done at 1024 by 1024, by the way, for testing purposes, just because it's faster to generate these at a lower resolution. And it being 30 steps, it does take longer than Z-Image Turbo. All of the farther away faces were just, you can totally tell they're generated. That's the thing. Almost pretty much every single one of them. Like none of them were perfect. It's just, if you generate at 1024 by 1024, this is just gonna happen with this model. Again, going to the Ancestral, I don't like the plastic. Things just look plastic. So I'm avoiding that one altogether when using this. I do like the DP-MPP. It just looks nice and realistic, more amateur, like I said. But again, a good middle ground is Euler. And they're all pretty decent. Now let's talk more about using Bong Tangent. So combining this with DP-MPP seems to give really good results. These are the two that I generated using those two as a combination. And you just look, okay, I can't zoom in on her tits, but I was going to just to kind of show like the subtle imperfections and hairs and stuff. You can see it on her arm here though. And her hair looks very, very good. Her eyes, it looks like her mascara, even in parts, was like put on a little bit shitty, which is very realistic. Her lips look glossy. Very, very nice. This one's more soft. It just turned out that way. And again, on her chest, you can see the little hairs. On her arms, little hairs, freckling. I don't know what it is with generating people and like almost every image model, it's like it doesn't understand how to fully do freckling. It does freckling like 80% good, but then once in a while it just throws these fucking black ones on there that like no human really has. I know they do sometimes, but just it goes a little heavy with the freckling. But to me, the best combination you can use is DP, MPP, SDE, and Bong Tangent. These two give the most realistic results and just look best to me. It's always preference, personal preference thing, but to me, that's the best combination you can stick with. With this new model comes the ability to have a negative prompt. Now, I was using the negative prompt for ZImage Turbo as well, thinking it worked. I missed the memo where I guess it wasn't a thing. I don't always read the descriptions of how to use the models because I can't be bothered. I'm also the same kind of guy who won't read an instruction manual when building something or the instructions when I'm going to play a video game. I'm old school, so I grew up in the era of video games actually coming with manuals. But anyway, we're getting off topic here. I would recommend when you're generating with this model, I would recommend using higher resolutions, especially if your character is farther away. You're just going to get better results. And like I showed you in those other pictures, when you're generating at 1024 by 1024, it's faster, but the small faces just do not hold up at all. And the problem with this is that it makes me feel forced to generate at 2048 by 2048, and the results are great. I have no problems with these results. And the added diversity of this model is great too. But the time that it takes to generate, because now it's 30 steps and we're dealing with a higher resolution, like, let me time it. I'll generate one right now and we'll time it. Okay, it finished and it generated the exact same photo as this because the prompt was exactly the same as when I did this one. That's besides the point. The amount of time that it took is 422 seconds and 0.69. So basically 7 minutes. So it took 7 minutes at 2048 by 2048 with my 4090 and 24 gigabytes of VRAM using the BF16 model. If you use the GGUFs, I'm sure it'll go a little faster, like the smaller ones, but that's ridiculous, man. Like, am I going to use this every day? No. Will I maybe play with it from time to time to see if I get better results in certain aspects? Sure. But this is not something, if you're working on a project or trying to get a specific image or photo or whatever, it's not the one to be testing things with. It's too slow. It's just, I'm not going to wait 7 minutes for one generation. Even if I really bump these numbers down to kind of get what I want first and then bump up the resolution after, it's just not practical to use when you're trying to accomplish something quickly. So I'm not really thoroughly impressed with this. I do really like the results when you use DP, MPP, SDE with Bong Tangent. I really like how it looks, but it's not worth the 7 minutes at 2048 by 2048 to me. I've put some best resolutions here that just work well. It's the same ones that I recommended for ZImage Turbo, but these work well. And then I have the best samplers and schedulers. This is my ultimate choice of what looks best. But again, I'm not going to be using this every day. You guys can play with this if you want. This is going to be a free workflow. You don't have to pay for this. Yeah, the crazy thing about this model is that ZImage Turbo does give better results, but the trade-off is you don't get diversity. And it's not like the diversity is crazy within this model. It's not like next level. It's better, but is it worth the time that it takes to generate the stuff? No. ZImage Turbo is still much better in my opinion. It's all about finding that balance between speed and quality and how fast it allows the user to work. If it's taking me 7 minutes and I have to wait, go grab a coffee, scratch my balls, let my dog out. No, I don't have a dog right now, but if I did, let him out and let him back in and come back and it's still, waiting. I still have to wait a minute. That's not worth it. It's not worth it. But there you guys go. That's my opinion of this one. It's going to be free because it's not really a premium workflow. I don't really give a shit about this one. But there you guys go. If you're still watching, thank you. I appreciate you. Consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy my content. I'm going to stay on top of these new releases and try to get more stuff to you. I also really am working on the Claude bot, or now called Molt bot. I'm working on stuff with that, so I'm probably going to have some videos on that soon. It's unrelated to image generation, but it's really interesting, and some of the stuff you can do with it is pretty crazy. So yeah, expect some of that in the future as well. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Have a good one. Peace.